Hello and welcome to another edition of the Aces Loaded podcast. So glad you're with us. Here we are in mid-April and still longing for baseball, but that is why we're here for you on Aces Loaded. My name is Zack Bayrouty. I am the play-by-play broadcaster for the Aces. The caveat being once we actually get going again, mentioned last week, have not called my first game, but I am looking forward to the day where I do. I am going to be joined today by Vince Ruffino. He was our co-host on episode 1. Vince produced our podcast last week with Jake Trabulski. Great to have Vince back with us. Vince, how are you doing, my friend?
Hanging in there. We're in week 6 of quarantine, so just trying to get through the days without sports, especially baseball. I think The Last Dance helped a little bit this weekend, but we're hanging in there, Zach.
The Last Dance was a great documentary that's going to be, is it 10 parts on ESPN about the Bulls dynasty?
Yeah, it's about the last season of the Bulls dynasty and Michael Jordan. It's a 10-part series, but they're actually releasing 2 episodes a Sunday, so it's a 5 event. So we have four Sundays to go. I could have watched all 10 on Sunday. Like, they could have just kept rolling. They wouldn't have lost me. They could have ran it till 3 a.m. I would have been there.
Yep. I think I watched episode 1, got into episode 2 about halfway, and then my wife came in the room and she kind of wanted to start on episode 1. I was like, cool, like I'll run it back, you know? So we watched episode 1 and then it finished episode 2, and it was fascinating. What did you think of Jerry Krause?
I mean, so one, as a short person, it really, like, he gives us a bad name. Like, come on, dude. Like, we're really challenged. It's okay. Like, we can be okay in our own skin. So I felt that a little bit personally. But I think, he drafted Rodman. He made the trade to get Dennis Rodman. But I think, at the end of the day, you've got to be kind of crazy to break up a team that's won 6 championships with a coach that's able to control all of those different those egos and those different kinds of players. So that's a bold move. I don't know if I would have done it.
So here's my take, and I think there's certainly some character flaws with Jerry Krause, who was the GM of the Bulls at the time, if you're not familiar with Jerry Krause. But there were some character flaws for him, but also for everybody else in that situation. So I have a Jerry Krause story. So this is like maybe six years ago now. I mean, this is going way back, maybe even 7-8 years ago. We were at the ballpark in Stockton. It was a Stockton Ports game. And we are in a rain delay. And, in the rain delay, a lot of scouts come up to the press box because it's just, a way for them to get out of the rain and just kind of shoot the breeze with each other. And I noticed this guy, and I'm like, that's Jerry Krause. So, the former GM of the Bulls, and he's there with the scouts. So I went up to him, and I was like, hi. I was like, are you Jerry Krause? He was like, yeah, nice to meet you. I was like, well, what the hell are you doing here? Like, you're the basketball GM, And he's like, oh, no, I'm a baseball scout now. So he does have a baseball background, and the documentary points that out. But he was working for the Diamondbacks, I believe it was, as a scout. So, and I could be mistaken, but I want to say it was for the D-backs. He's passed away now. But he could not have been more gracious. And, like, he sat in the booth. Well, I didn't interview him. I just wanted to shoot the breeze with him. And me, and I forget who the visiting broadcaster was, he just told us stories of those Bulls teams from the late 80s and into the 90s with that dynasty that were just off the charts. Really nice guy. So I felt bad that the documentary kind of portrayed him in that way. I also kind of, and we're getting off the rails here talking about the Bulls, but my take is Pippen should have had surgery in the summer going into the 97-98 season. I mean, that was, like, come on, like, that's not Jerry Krause's fault that Pippen signed that contract. And also, for more context, if anybody, Reinsdorf, the owner of the Bulls and of the Chicago White Sox, that he's not a guy that renegotiates contracts. So Krause's hands were tied. And if you know anything about Reinsdorf, like, he is super loyal, almost to a fault, but, like, he'll never overpay and he'll never renegotiate a contract while it's still in play. So, and he even said that. Reinsdorf even said that. So I feel like Jerry Krause got kind of a bad name in that documentary, me personally.
No, I think that's fair. I think there's all different angles. I think you said it best. Everyone kind of had a fault. And so everyone's ego kind of got in the way there and kind of contributed to things. So I think, the portrayal was kind of rough on him, especially, like, it's easy to make him look like the bad guy when he's not around to defend himself too. And that was the kind of the missing piece I felt in the doc is watching this is you got everyone else's story and everyone's pointing the finger at the one guy that can't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, like this is actually what was happening, or I was hearing this from the owner and tell his side of the story. So I think that's a fair critique and like a fair point to be made about the doc. But overall, just phenomenal and much needed during these times.
How about the power move by Jordan to be interviewed with a fat scotch and a cigar, like right there in his like castle, wherever he was? Like that's what I expected to be the backdrop for Jordan for that interview.
I've been telling people, like for people in my generation, I'm 28. Really, we caught Jordan on the Wizards. Like he really, when I was 4 or 5, was in his prime or winning all those championships. This is like, you hear the legend of Jordan from the people a little bit older, your parents. This is like my first real exposure to Michael Jordan, not outside of the legend, but like direct exposure to who he is and like how the myth came to be. And so for me, I'm finding that one of the most intriguing parts is like, it's actually bringing a myth and a legend to a new generation of people that, like, I know for me, I've always wanted something like this. There's never been this kind of doc about the Bulls in this capacity. So for me, I've always been starved to know more about like MJ through the documentary form and to see the highlights and understand what the era was like and things of that nature too. So I think it's great from that perspective too, because there's a whole mess of people that hear about Michael Jordan, but he's kind of on the peripheral. And we've all kind of grown up with LeBron owning the league. And I still think MJ is the greatest basketball player of all time. But, that's where the LeBron argument comes from, right? People my age haven't been exposed in the way that we know LeBron.
Yeah, so I just turned 37, so I grew up with MJ, and he was the guy. Like, I grew up in the height of his popularity, but even still, and even having watched him in that, there was always that cloak of mystery surrounding Jordan. Like, he never gave like the super in-depth interviews. He was never a cultural. He was a cultural icon. He was never a what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, he never hit on the hot button issues of the time like LeBron does. Like, he never kind of tackled those. And I don't ever fault anybody for not wanting to do that if that was why he didn't. But you just never got to know him in the intimate way that we've gotten to know LeBron. So for me, that's why this interview is so fascinating, because it's the first time that I think we've seen Jordan maybe be a little bit vulnerable. Like when they had him read the letter that he sent home to his mom, like that was such a tender moment. And you never see something like that with Jordan on camera. So that was in and of itself a great moment and something we've never seen in Jordan.
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments. And for me, in a position as a manager here with the Aces, I'm always looking at different leadership styles and trying to kind of find my voice and find my way as I'm a developing young person in the industry. And so, us in the industry, we look up to the athletes, just like a player on the team would, in a different way, not what they do on the field and how they prepare, but how do they lead? How do they become part of a team? Because working with a team in a front office is the same as working in a clubhouse. It's just your objectives are a little bit different. How you get there are different. So hearing the candid shots of Jordan, one at practice, like how he was demanding of his teammates, and then hearing him talk about it and his perspective on that, for me, like that's the best kind of brain food I can get right now, is like learning from that and trying to develop my own kind of style is like one of the main things that I'm most excited about. I know everyone can pull out their own different stuff too, and we could probably talk for an hour of the different lessons you can learn probably from these guys, but that's one that really sticks out to me, and I think I'm like really hungry to sink my teeth into and see more as this doc goes on of how that develops throughout their season and how it was over the dynasty.
I do want to talk about Aces stuff. So I want to ask you how. I know we got on The Last Dance here, but it's a heck of a documentary, by the way, on ESPN on Sundays, as Vince said. How's everything up there in Reno, and how are the community partners doing? I know we're going to talk with Jeff and Sheila Wood, our season ticket holders who help make the masks for the hospitals and raise a bunch of money. We talked with Rounds Bakery, or talked about Rounds Bakery last week, what they were doing. So how's everything up there? You're obviously in that area, and I am not, so I defer to you.
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to our fans who have been Incredible. Last week we went on sale, like you mentioned before, with those protective masks made from Aces jerseys. Season ticket holders took it upon them to sew the masks. We had 190 masks. We sold out in about 2 to 3 hours, with all of the proceeds going to all the local hospitals and medical care centers. 100% of the proceeds go directly to them. So first and foremost, the response from Aces fans, incredible, and thank you for showing that. It blew us away. It blew me away. I was so proud on that day. And on that note, we have more masks coming. So coming up, the weekend of April 24th, 25th, we're probably going to roll some out there. And then hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we'll have those too. So we're working hard on using Aces jerseys to get masks for people, and then donating the funds back to healthcare. That's a major priority for us. We've also been talking with one of our major sponsors, Greater Nevada Credit Union, about getting the word out about local business assistance being provided by the federal government. So we should have a webpage up soon, if not by the time this podcast comes out, talking about how to go to GNCU and request a small business loan to help offset your payroll during this time. There's 6-8 month options, all kinds of different things. And a lot of local Nevadans haven't been taking advantage of that program. So we're working with GNCU to get the message out there. And hopefully everyone who needs assistance can get assistance, because the window to get that assistance is really small and you need to be quick on it. So for us, trying to get that out there and understand those programs so that we could pass those along to our fans has been a really big priority for us, with the outbreak and what's going on right now in our community.
It's amazing how this has educated us all on the need to stay plugged into your community, and how critical it is when you have situations where people need aid and can't get it, or people need masks and are having a hard time getting them, and people need X, Y, and Z. Food. The Greater Nevada Food Bank of Northern Nevada. We talk to them, and without staying plugged into your community, you're really going to have a hard time when situations like these arise. God willing, they don't arise this severe that often. But I think you guys in the front office have set an amazing example on what that means to boost the community platform and keep people plugged into each other in this time. Because without that, I think there are so many people that would be lost.
Yeah, we're trying everything that we can. We have great partners, too, that are very involved in the community and care about this community. You'll hear Ryan in the interview a little bit later in the pod kind of talk about how much Reno loves Reno, and it's true. And so we see that every day with the partners that we're working with. And so our attitude has been, ears open, arms open. What can we do to help, in what capacity? Whether that be getting just information out through our channels, because we do have a good amount of followers in the local market that pay attention to our message. And so whether we can use our message to get that important information out there, to get more mass in the community. So if you have to go grocery shopping, or you have to get something essential and you have to go out, you feel a lot safer, and you're able to do that in an affordable way, while also giving back to the community and recycling Aces jerseys. So we're trying to do as much as we can to help out the community. That's given us so much over the last 10 or 11 years that we've been here. We know we'll be back soon. And when we'll be back soon, that's when we're going to ask for that support to come back our way, that love, and all of the energy that we're pouring into now. We know that Reno is going to come back and show it to us times 1,000. So everything that we do now is for the community, and we'll figure some things out from there.
You mentioned we're going to have Rhino Flanagan on the podcast a little bit later. A really fun segment with Rhino Flanagan, who we were supposed to see on Saturday at Greater Nevada for Remo Sriracha Night. And for those who have not seen the Reno tourism video that he put out a couple of years ago, that kind of went viral, especially for folks in Reno. Hilarious. He's a great guy and a great guest. Tell us how Remo Sriracha Night came about. Obviously, Ryan was a big influence in that. He was the influence in that.
Yeah. The video is viral for itself. A lot of people have seen it already. It's Overly Excited Tourist does Reno on YouTube. It's got millions of views. And initially for me, when I first moved here, that was like kind of the intro to moving here. Some of the people that lived here said, you got to see this video. It really kind of shows Reno's heart and charm in some areas of the city that, just make you laugh. And so that was kind of one of the first things, and always made me chuckle. And so when it came to opening day planning last year, Obviously with that being part of the community, we thought it would be fun to have Ryan out to the stadium to throw out a first pitch to celebrate opening day and help us celebrate launching a new season. And when he was at the stadium, the response was overwhelming on social media and then in the stadium itself. On social, people were commenting. His video posting that he was coming back on our Facebook was actually our best performing social media piece of content across all of our platforms the entire year. Home runs, skunks in the outfield. Rhino Flanagan is number one in Reno Ace's hearts and minds when it comes to having fun. So they showed up at the stadium, taking photos with him. And so that was really the genesis of Ryan kind of having some success here and going into planning the theme nights for what was going to be this season or what will be an upcoming season. We thought it'd be really fun to do something around the community again, but have some fun with it and take some chances. And so right at the end of the video where he says Remo Sriracha, and this community kind of latched onto it with, you see stickers. I see people with Hydro Flask all the time that say have the Remo Sriracha sticker on there. And so we just thought it'd be really fun to run with. And so we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we wore Sriracha-inspired jerseys and rebranded ourselves, had some different merch items, had Ryan out. And that's really where the ideas started flowing and the everything kind of came from there. We didn't release publicly the jersey we had designed for Remo Sriracha Night, but I could tell you it looks like a Sriracha bottle, but with very Reno changes to it. So whenever we do have the night, it will be awesome to see, and we have some other really great stuff planned. I don't want to give too much away, but we just thought it would be a great chance, like I said, for us to invite Ryan back, use our creative juices to come up with something great and have something our fans can celebrate.
Hey man, those comedians from Massachusetts, they are big time. He talks about Dane Cook, obviously from Massachusetts. Bill Burr is another big one.
Oh, I love Bill Burr.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
He is from Mass too, as am I. So we'll have that connection for sure. We'll get him out there, and we'll get back to baseball and what we love soon enough. But for the time being, we are still unto ourselves and in quarantine. So we thought it would be fun to put together a top 5 list. With Jake last week, it was the top 5 moments from Greater Nevada Field in 2019. Vince and I decided to do a little something different and go off the field this week and maybe try and help you through your quarantine. Although my list is going to be, I don't know if half of these are going to be available to you because I'm so old, but it's top 5 video games. And this is not of all time. This is our personal favorites.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, these are our personal favorites. I will preface this by saying that when I got into my 30s, the gaming stopped a little bit. So I'm okay. Dated, but I did love me some video games for a long time. So our list is going to be different.
In quarantine, I'm still gaming. I kind of continued it in the last year or two. I've kind of fallen off, but now in quarantine, it's right back up. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you want to unveil these? Do you want to go down each one of our lists totally, or do you want to go one for one?
I'd like to go one for one, starting with 5, working our way to 1.
Okay, I'm going to give you the starting point here. You could start.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a good one and very topical for the podcast.
And are we going in descending order from like you're going to end with your top of all?
Yes, top is number 1.
Okay.
For me, number 5 is a very specific video game, and only very specific people will get this one. But I'm going MVP Baseball 2005 for the PS2. That game was the perfect baseball video game. You could play like a full 9-inning game in about 30 minutes, and all of the other features, the franchise modes, all of the game modes were so addicting. So you could create your own stadium, your own team, run it, the whole franchise, and the games moved quickly. Easily spent the most hours of my youth playing MVP Baseball 2005 or 2004. One of the two, I forgot which one it was. But the one problem with it, which you will argue isn't a problem, was that Manny Ramirez was on the cover. And it was right after the Red Sox won the World Series. And so it was a painful, the intro was all Red Sox, the hype video and stuff. It was so painful as a Yankee fan on that game.
Sorry about it.
I'm
really not sorry.
Yeah, Tessie was like the main theme song from the Dropkick Murphys. It was like,
I remember that game. I do remember. I didn't play it a ton, but I do remember that intro. Yep.
Exactly. Nightmare season for a Yankee fan, but the game itself was phenomenal.
Okay, I respect that. I'm going to counter with, and this is gonna basically illustrate where we are in our generations. RBI Baseball for Game Boy in 1987. I think it came out in it was 87. The game came out, and there was a second edition that was early 90s. So maybe I'm referencing the second edition. But I mean, as basic could be, you could still, it was major league licensed, so you could play with, like, Frank Viola could be one of your pitchers, like
go Johnnies, let's go St. John's.
Yeah, the Johnnies. But that's part of the charm, is you can go back and still, if you can find it, which I think they probably have an online version, you could play with those rosters from the late 80s, early 90s. That'll just make you smile. Like, they are awesome. Fantastic. And also a trick, if you had the original Game Boy, you hold down, like, if you're facing a right-handed hitter and you hold down the right arrow, like at a diagonal with the down arrow, I mean, you could throw a slider that was untouchable. So it's kind of like a cheat code, but that resonates with me. So that's my number.
Sounds awesome. That's a good one. Game Boy is good. I feel like there's some honorable mentions left to end at the end of the end, because that just spurred one on for me. Number 4, I have another very specific one, and it's also to PS2. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Not the first one, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the PlayStation 2. I spent a lot of time with a lot of friends playing that game. There was campaign modes. It was like one of the first Star Wars games I had that you could play as like Yoda or Darth Vader, and you had a lightsaber and stuff. It was super fun, and it was a lot of fun to play, like I said, with like sleepovers or with your buddies. So Star Wars Battlefront 2. A lot of people sleep on that one.
Okay.
And I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, and that's the thing. That one really got me.
First-person shooter, meaning that you're from your point of view, you're the shooter. Okay.
Yeah, you could do point of view, or you could also have the camera behind the character.
Okay. I am going to go with NCAA Football 2005 for PS2. And that is the game. When I first moved to California, I lived in a house, and I think Jake and I talked about this last week on the pod, where you're with a bunch of dudes. It was me and my buddy Derek, who worked for the Stockton Ports at the time. I mean, we had no money. We had literally nothing except his PS2, like this game, and a TV that was borrowed from someone that we rigged the PS2 to work with the TV. And we, for hours, would play. His team was Notre Dame, and USC was awesome at that time. So I was always USC. And like every time to this day I hear the USC Trojans fight song, I go back to that game, and Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush and those guys. It was a lifesaver for us back in 2005.
I remember that game. That game was awesome. So I can back you up on that one. The NCAA balls pretty consistently have had good ones. The NCAA basketball ones I also liked a lot. Neither of them did not make my list. But a lot of those sports games, you have to remember, like, are very specific too. Like, a lot of people like to play the shooter, the adventure games. I've always leaned on the sports games too, but I tried to mix mine up a little bit with my top 5.
All right, so what's number 3?
So number 3 is outside of sports, and it's a classic. It's Smash Brothers. I mean, there is nothing more fun than playing Mario Smash Bros. Did you just shake your head?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You've never played Super Mario Smash Brothers?
No.
For like Nintendo GameCube?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh my god!
I told you.
I don't know what to say to you. Like I don't even know what to say.
I primed you that I was video game ignorant. I primed you for it. You can't be shocked.
You were able to remember MVP Baseball 2005 with Super Mario Smash Bros.
I had my games, and I literally stuck with my games. These are the only games I would play. I never branched out.
So now that I'm in a world that I never thought I'd live in, trying to explain what Super Mario Smash Brothers is, it was a game Nintendo where you could play as characters from the Nintendo world. So obviously Mario, Luigi, Samus, Link, all these ones, and basically you and your friends, there's all these different items you could throw at each other, and you're just trying to knock, basically on its base level, you're trying to knock the other character off of the platform to lose a life, but you're fighting and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's hard to describe. I can't believe my mind's blown.
I'll check it out. I bet there's an online version now. I'll check it out. But I don't feel stupid in any way, because I told you, like, this was not my world. By the way, we had the parents that didn't allow us to get a game console when we were kids. Like they wanted us to read and go outside and play. So I had to survive off of my friends' video game consoles for the better part of my youth.
Mine eventually caved, I think, late in like around 7th or 8th grade, but we're much the same for the most of my childhood.
So this takes me into my number 3 because I played it at my buddy Mike's house when I was growing up when we were 10 years old, and it was NHL 94 for Sega Genesis.
Yes, had that game. Yes, had a Sega Genesis.
So this is the game, and I can't believe this is unplanned, but this is our second reference to the movie Swingers in this podcast. Well, this is the first of 2. But this is the game they were playing on Swingers, on the movie Swingers, when the food came to the door, and they were playing NHL 94 on Sega Genesis, and it still brings me back. So that's my number.
That's 2. A great game. I can back that up. And the Hartford Whalers were in that game.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Being a Nutmeg Stater.
All right, number 2.
Me, I think you'll even know my number 2, and if you don't, then I got nothing for you. Pac-Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's just a
good one.
Play that Pac-Man anytime with anyone. Could be with a group, could be by yourself, could be at an arcade. Doesn't matter. Pac-Man.
Love it. My number 2 is NHL 2K10. That was the 2K sports game, which most people played the EA Sports version of NHL.
Yeah, you got a Chell, bro.
What's that?
You got a Chell. It's called Chell now.
Chell?
Yeah, you play Chell. Like NHL. Chell.
Oh, is that how the kids are saying it now?
That's yeah. I'm trying to bring you up to speed.
God, that was Now I'm old.
I'm not editing this out.
No, don't. I am authentic. If I am nothing, I'm authentic. And you'll learn that about me. But yeah, NHL 2K10 for 2K Sports. They stopped making that 2K NHL game after 2K10. But my best friend and I who lived in Sacramento, like we would play this hours on end.
Was that the ESPN one?
No, this was 2K Sports.
Did it have like the ESPN interface though? I'm trying because I remember playing. Okay, I played one that was like the ESPN version of a hockey video game.
Yeah, no, this was 2K. This is 2K, but spent hours playing it. Great interface. I got really good at it. That was like the most up to date video game that I have been addicted to. 2010 NHL 2K10.
Okay, wow.
So that was our number 2, right? So what's your number
1? 2. So number 1. And now I'm worried you're not going to know my number 1. My number 1 is Super Mario Kart.
Okay, I know this. My wife is legendary. A big Mario Kart player.
I'm not gonna lie. During quarantine,
she's a little younger than me.
I've been karting a lot.
God bless. Like what? This is a judgment-free zone. You could doing anything.
You could play with a girlfriend. You could play it with friends. Like it knows no ages. Like I remember I used to play with my sisters when I was in college. I would come home and we'd all be able to play Super Mario Kart. Just because it's so innocent, addicting, and fun. Like you could play for hours just doing the same course. Because it's so much everything. It's different every time.
Okay, I very much respect that.
Yes.
So can I play it? Can I overlay some music as I introduce my number 1?
Sure.
Let's see if you can go there with me. I mean, this was where it was in this game. Like this was my favorite level in this game. Oh, now I get to make you look like a fool.
Crap. It's not Super Mario, is it? Is it? Okay.
Is the underwater level of the original Super Mario Brothers.
Got it. Okay. I play a lot of adventure games, so that's why you got me here.
But I'm going to tell you a little something about myself, Vince. Like there are times where I will catch myself humming that song at random. For whatever reason, the music for the underwater level of Super Mario Brothers, which I hadn't played in a long, stuck with me my entire life. So my number 1 is Super Mario Brothers because I played that hours on end.
How about that, right? Super Mario at the top of both lists. Like it's just you can't beat it.
What is old is new again, right? It's always the way it goes.
It wins. Honorable mentions. I got a couple. I think that the Maddens, any Madden.
Yeah, Madden didn't make the list. What a surprise.
Yeah. I think that's an honorable mention. I think like NHL, like you were saying, the NCAA basketball or football, and then FIFAs were really close for me. Because FIFA's like, I don't play a lot on my own, but they're always a great community game to play with like your buddies on a. Mm-hmm. Remember in college that was a big thing on Friday nights in the summer, like or Saturday nights, hanging out and playing just a bunch of FIFA.
So my honorable mentions would be Tetris and Wolfenstein. Did you ever play Wolfenstein?
I don't even know what that is.
Really?
No.
Oh, I thought that was pretty common. It was on the computer. It wasn't on a console, but it was on the computer. And it was like a point of view type situation where you were hunting Nazis in this German castle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there were all kinds of secret little nooks and crannies in the game. Like there were secret doors that you could find, and if you became more familiar with the game, like you knew where to get like all the good ammo and the upgrade and weapons. And when we were kids, that was all we did. So those are my honorable mentions.
On the Sega Genesis front, did you ever play Sonic the Hedgehog 2? That game was awesome.
No, I played the original, and if I wasn't playing the original Sonic, I was playing NHL 94.
Okay.
Over and over again.
Those are solid lists, though. Solid lists.
Yeah, solid lists, and maybe you can find these games still. I know if you wanted, you could do a Google search for Super Mario Brothers. You could play it online. Like
that's awesome.
Versions of it, so it's a cool, fun way to maybe pass the time.
Yeah. Nowadays it's just me playing MLB The Show on PS4, but
yeah, you've upgraded. You're probably gonna get back into was it Smash Brothers? What was that called?
Yeah, Super Mario Smash Brothers or Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well, you get into. I'm sure the Smash Brothers thing is online now too. It's old, right? I'm guessing it's older.
I'm actually borrowing a coworker's Wii at the moment, and he has Smash Brothers and Mario Kart on the discs that you just plug in and play. So I'm not sure they're available online. I know that you could still play some of those games. They're a little more current, so they're still coming out.
Okay. Well, hope you enjoyed the lists. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Jeff and Sheila Wood. They are amazing season ticket holders who've done an amazing thing, and they've inspired a lot of people in the community with making masks out of Aces jerseys. We'll talk with Jeff and Sheila, and then later on, Rhino Flanagan, up and coming. Can we still call him up and coming? I mean, he's still he is definitely on the rise as far as his career trajectory. I don't want to be.
It was just on Lil Dicky's new show. So.
Right. So I don't want to be insulting and say he's up and coming, because he is someone, he's already someone, but he's still trending to where he's reaching a pinnacle at some point soon. And hopefully we can help with that. But Rhino Flanagan, tremendous comedian, the inspiration for Remo Sriracha. He'll be joining us later on. And Vince and I will be back to close it out after that. So this is the Aces Loaded podcast, and we're back after this.
Fans, we need your help. Follow the Aces on social media and submit your questions for Zach using the hashtag AcesLoaded. You could hear your question answered on the next show. Thanks for listening.
We are back on the Aces Loaded podcast, and we are joined by a couple of our favorite season ticket holders, Jeff and Sheila Wood, who were recently in the news for being kind of local heroes among us. They made masks, 190 protective masks, and in doing so, they raised money that benefited 6 different local healthcare centers. And I want you to take us into the story of the making of the masks and start with the materials that you used, because it was really a unique thing that you guys did.
Oh, I can start out by telling you the hardest part of the whole process. Eric Edelstein sent over a box of masks, or not masks, I'm sorry. He sent over a box of jerseys for us. Got those home, opened the box, and it was heartbreaking to know that we were going to have to cut those brand new jerseys up. That was really hard. But just knowing that we were making them into something that was going to be useful and beneficial to so many people, that helped ease the process a lot.
Yeah, so you used Aces jerseys, and can you take us kind of through the beginning of the idea that you had to do that, and what it was like to work with Eric in actually procuring those jerseys?
Well, the idea was Eric's, not ours. Eric came up with the idea, and I think he was searching for somebody to help, and we saw it. And Sheila loves to sew, and we just thought that'd be a great idea. Like I said, I was a fire captain. Sheila was a dispatcher, and to be able to help the healthcare community, just made it all great.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're being a retired fireman, and Sheila, you're a retired dispatcher. How much do you empathize right now with first responders and the people that are on the front lines that are really being asked to be the buffer between the virus and everybody else?
Our heart goes out to those people, the stress that they're under right now, and they're just amazing to us.
Jeff, have you sewn much before?
She did sewing. I got to do the cutting out and sticking my fingers with needles and do the ironing.
I told him when we decided to do this project that I was not going to be able to do it by myself, that he was going to have to help. And he jumped right in, and whatever I needed, he was right there. Like you said, he did all the cutting and the pinning of the elastic onto him.
It was fun. It wasn't bad.
I'm sure it was, and especially since you knew what the cause was. How did you map out actually cutting the jerseys? How did you figure out how to start cutting them up and kind of what to do? I'm sure there was a method to your madness. I know nothing about arts and crafts and sewing. I'm just going to lay it out there for you guys. So this is an education for me.
Well, we went through a couple prototypes till we figured it out.
Trial and error.
Actually, I just ended up making a pattern out of cardboard, and I just follow the cardboard pattern and try to get the most out of the jerseys that we could. And the first few were prototypes, and then
Didn't quite work.
we found out Sheila using a lot of her material on one side actually worked out better. So we used the jersey and some of her material we had here.
What jerseys did you use? Was it a collection of kind of different jerseys, or were they one jersey in particular?
No, they were ones Eric sent. They're players' jerseys, but they were brand new. They've never been used.
Still had tags on them.
Still had tags on them, so we didn't have to do the washing or anything, and it turned out pretty good. We got out of them as we could.
You guys got 190 masks out of them. Are you surprised with the quantity of masks that you were able to extract out of the jerseys?
Yeah, we were all excited. First 50 we hit, we sent Eric a note. Then I said, we're going to shoot for 100, Eric. And then I said, well, probably 150 would be more than enough. And we ended up, like I said, more than that. And then them selling quick just made our day.
I was going to say, so take me through now. You get the masks made. Did you have to get them to Eric? And what was the process like as far as selling them and getting them out? Were you guys involved in that?
Eric did, again, he stepped right up to it. He had, initially he had all the jerseys delivered to our house since we're quarantined or, staying away from everybody, social distancing from everybody. He had the jerseys delivered, and then once we had them all done, we boxed them back up, and he had, I think it was Emily, had somebody come out to the house. We set them on the porch, and they came out and picked them up. So, and then he kept in touch with us to tell us that they had been sold and how quickly they'd been sold. That was just phenomenal.
I know you guys didn't do this for the gratification of it, but what sense of gratification do you have now seeing what you guys, just two people who had a vision and executed it, were able to do for the community?
My hope is that everybody out there through all of this that's going on right now, if everybody could step up and do just a little bit, it would help. Us doing this, it really gave us a lot of satisfaction to know, not only were we helping the people that are wearing the masks, but we're helping the hospital staff and the frontline people, hopefully with the money that was raised.
And
we're going to be able to help them.
With your story, apparently others have stepped up now to offer to Eric to help out, which is just really cool.
So I think step up and make quite a few masks, a lot of them, a lot more than we could.
It's amazing when someone steps up, the chain reaction that can come of it, with people being inspired by just one little idea. Are you guys doing well, by the way? I meant to ask you that right up front, but are you guys, I know you're saying you're quarantined, but are you doing well up there?
We're doing great.
We're doing great. We go out, our adventure out is about a 4-mile hike with our dogs each morning away from everybody. We just go up in the hills and yard work, and we look forward to walking the dogs each day, and baseball again.
someday.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like my life, except you add in the Aces Loaded podcast, and there aren't many hills here in Central Valley, California. So it's basically just a 4-mile walk around the neighborhood with me and my dogs. But I echo your sentiments about looking forward to baseball. I've never missed it so much, and I'm sure everybody is kind of in that same boat. Talking with Jeff and Sheila Wood, two of our great season ticket holders, and I want to ask you a little bit more about your connection to the Aces. You guys are season ticket holders. What does having Aces season tickets mean for you guys? What does that do for you guys?
You can grab that one.
We've been season ticket holders for 10 years, and that's our main enjoyment. We're going, and what we've seen in the 10 years, the staff each year, Eric and the whole staff, it's so pleasurable. They're all smiling when you get to the ballpark. He's trying to help the fans. He helps the community. It's not just, we like baseball, but the whole experience of going to the stadium, it just meant a lot to us.
Do you guys have a favorite moment at the stadium by chance? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know there's probably many, but is there one that stands out in your mind?
A lot.
Yeah, Eldemaro Vargas. He's one of our favorite players.
He's our kid.
The part of minor league baseball, watching them go up to the majors, but there are players like him that are full energy, smiling all the time, welcoming us and the fans to the stadium.
He's one that always says hi. When we were sitting there at the beginning of the game, he would always make sure he made a point of coming up and waving to us and
always
saying hi.
throws balls to the kids. Last year, he used to roll them on the dugout. One time, he tied a string to it. And he'd throw it on the dugout, and the adults would go for it. And Vargas would pull it back, and then he'd come out smiling. He just has so much fun. It's fun to watch him and the games.
Had a chance to watch him last year a little bit when I was filling in for Ryan Radke, and I'd echo your sentiments. He was an exciting player to watch and a fun guy to be around, and I love how he got him with the old dugout string trick tied to the baseball. You brought it up a little bit. I'm a newcomer. I will be a newcomer to Northern Nevada when I can finally get up there and be with the Aces. I spent some time up there last year, as I mentioned, filling in for Ryan, but I'm struck by the spirit of community in Northern Nevada. Can you two educate me on what that means?
It just feels like a community to us. We always lived, we have 15 acres, 100 miles from here, and we always lived little remote rural towns, and we were nervous about coming to a city because we're not big city people. And now this has turned into, feels like a community to us. We see the people at the ball game, we sit with all the time. We actually see them on the off season too now. So it's been kind of a family. Eric's always smiling as we get to the stadium. The staff the ushers are shaking our hand. It's just been a good experience to us.
How excited are you guys to get back to the field, back to Greater Nevada?
I think I'm going to feel like a little kid going to the first game looking for his first baseball when they open it up. So
with all the improvements that they've said that they've done this year, we were hoping to be able to see them.
Well, we will eventually. And you know what's funny? What's funny, Jeff, is that you say that, and I've seen thousands of baseball games. I've called so many of them, but I'm going to feel that exact same way the first game back. It's going to be literally like I'm a kid in a candy store and going to my first game again, because I think that's how much I miss it, and I think I'm echoing your sentiments. Where do you guys sit, by the way? I just want to educate myself on where your seats are.
We're lucky to have had seats in 106, right front row, where the players walk out to bat.
Right above the third base
the
dugout.
Aces dugout. So it's kind of fun. They see us there, and some of them, like I said, they wave, they welcome us to the games. And we've had those seats for almost the whole time. We started sharing tickets when we first started, and then we moved over. We're at the bottom of section 106.
Well, when I can finally get up there, when we have baseball again, I want to seek you guys out. Would love to have you on the radio for an inning, and you could share the story again, because it inspires me, and it has inspired so many, and that's why we wanted to have you guys on today to talk about it on the podcast. Jeff and Sheila, I hope you stay safe up there, and I can't wait to meet you in person. I know you were at the Hot Stove at Silver Legacy. We missed each other in February, but I'm excited to catch up with you guys in person and get to know you.
Welcome to Reno. It's a great community, a great ball game, place to go see a ball game. And we're just looking forward to seeing you.
Amen. Likewise.
Welcome to the plane.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. And thank you again for all that you've done. Jeff and Sheila Wood are great season ticket holders, and we'll be back with more Aces Loaded after this.
Here comes the pitch. Swinging a drive into deep left center. That ball's headed for the wall. It is gone. It's gone. The Aces win. Cody Decker with a game-winning 2-run home run. And the Aces have walked off Sacramento. 10-9 is the final. Decker jumps on top of home plate, and his teammates jump on him. What a game. What a finish.
Swinging a drive, deep to right field, way back, it's gone!
How about that?
Unbelievable walk-off home run. Turn 98 around. What a comeback. A walk-off grand slam for Andrew Applin as the Aces complete one of the wildest comebacks you'll ever see.
Fields comes home.
Fly ball to left, and that's going to win it for Reno. Way back there, gone. Walk-off home run for Caesar. 12-11 is your final score. A 5-run bottom of the ninth for Reno. A 4-home run celebration to win it.
Back on the Aces Loaded podcast. So glad to be joined now by Rhino Flanagan. We like to bring a fun guest in every podcast if we can, and Rhino Flanagan is that guy this week. And unfortunately, he was supposed to be with us on Saturday for Remo Sriracha Night. We'll get into that in a moment. But instead of seeing him in person on Saturday, we're doing it through Zoom in this weird time. How you doing, man? I'd imagine it's weird times for a stand-up comedian to be quarantined. I can't imagine.
It is, man. Yeah, no shows happening. There's some Zoom shows and stuff like that, some virtual shows. I've yet to do one of those, but I know a lot of my friends are doing them. I haven't been invited. I haven't been asked to do it. But even if I was, I'd definitely be hesitant. It seems kind of nightmarish, but I know people are doing them. Yeah, man, bummed out. Yeah, this weekend was supposed to be Remo Sriracha Night. I'm bummed it didn't get to happen. Hopefully we can push it back to a later date. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You know, I know you travel around the country a lot. So do I. So for me, I feel like extremely caged in right now. You know, I'm here and I'm home and with my wife and we have like animals and stuff, but it's not my usual life. Do you kind of feel that way? Yeah,
it's been a whole lot of pacing around my apartment. I have my own place, which is cool. I've had some horror roommates before.
You in LA?
Lucky this didn't happen during those days when I was living with I used to live with an 81-year-old man when I first moved to LA. We used to share a bedroom. I mean, that was for a full year.
You shared a bedroom with an 81-year-old man?
Yeah, we both slept on the floor. I didn't know anyone when I moved to LA. I just found this guy on Craigslist. And he was nice. He was a good guy, but it was just a very weird year. And I was thinking, man, what if this quarantine hit while I was living with Hal? You know, just hanging out in the bedroom for 2 months straight. I guess I would have had to go home. But yeah, I mean, it could be worse. I'm hanging out here and trying to still write jokes and stuff for whenever comedy does come back. I mean, I'm sure people will expect some little bit of quarantine material, but I'm not trying to beat people over the head with it. But write a few quarantine jokes every now and then.
I can wrap my head around you moving to LA and being willing to do whatever it takes and sleep on a floor. But do I dare ask about the predicament of the 81-year-old man that finds himself sleeping on a floor at age 81?
I mean, looking back, it was so stupid. I never asked, his age or background. His Craigslist ad just said, I'm from New York, living in LA. I live in West Hollywood. And it's like a really cheap rent to share this bedroom. And I remember just responding. I was like, hey, I'm from Massachusetts. I said, hey, East Coast, maybe similar mentalities, sentiments. Maybe I think we'd get along. And he was like, yeah, great. And he's, he just like, come on over, and he paid the first month's rent or whatever. And I drove across country, and I remember just walking up to his front door, and he opened the door, and it was just a straight up old man. And he was a hoarder too, like full.
Oh my gosh! Like
floor
from
to
the TV show?
ceiling boxes, floor to ceiling, but just like newspapers and old appliances and stuff around the entire apartment. And I just walked in and I started crying. Remember, I started crying, and I had just gotten to LA, and I called my mom. And I told her, I was like, Mom, he's 81 and he's a hoarder. And she just burst out laughing. She thought it was the funniest thing. She had no sympathy for me at all. She just loved that I got myself in that predicament. But it worked out. I lived there for a year and saved some money, and he was a cool guy.
All right, so this is on me now. I didn't realize this. I should have looked this up. I'm from Massachusetts. So
really?
Where are you? Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from a town like an hour south of Boston, on Rhode Island line, to a town called Seekonk.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm from Worcester.
Oh, you're from Worcester, right on.
Yeah.
You guys are about to get the Paw Sox to be the Woo Sox.
The Woo Sox, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the hat I wear the most is a Paw Sox hat. I'm wearing my Aces hat today.
I love that you're rocking the Aces lid, man.
Yeah, man.
So it's funny that you mentioned driving cross country. So my journey was, I got into baseball play-by-play. Literally right out of college, I got offered a job out of nowhere in Stockton, California, which is kind of around where I live now. And it's really funny now that I'm going to be working in Reno, because my moment where I kind of broke down was driving cross country as a 22-year-old kid. And I was fine until my cousin and I got to Reno. And for some reason, Reno was just like weirdly different than anything I was used to in Massachusetts. I went to school in Boston. But it's where it struck me. Maybe it's because we went to the Nugget in Sparks, which is kind of a different kind of place. But I remember getting in the car and we were going to the home stretch to go to Stockton, California. And I was like, I'm so far from home and this is so weird. And it just hit me right then. It's not the 81-year-old guy sleeping on a floor, but it's kind of funny how you have those moments.
Reno, it can make you or it can break you, man.
Yeah. So
that golden nugget.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where'd you go to school? You went to school in Boston?
Yeah, I went to Northeastern. Northeastern, and didn't go to school for what I'm doing now. So it's just kind of funny how it all works out, and life comes at you fast.
Sure does.
I do want to talk about Reno, and I want to talk about the tourist video, the overly excited tourist video. You can find it on YouTube. I'm sure everybody has seen it by now. It's been a couple of years, but do you remember a favorite memory of Reno from that video?
From that video, wow. Oh man, I did really like that gigantic bowling alley and Hall of Fame. Just walking in and being completely overwhelmed. I like the art park. I thought the art park was a lot of fun. Getting a lot of weird looks at that place because I was just like running around, screaming, making an idiot of myself. But yeah, it was probably two. And that river, which to this day,
River.
That raging river.
And I love how you got the stairs underwater too. Like what a serendipitous moment right there.
I came during a pretty wild time apparently.
Remo Sriracha is what you said at the end of the video, and we were going to have the Remo Sriracha night on Saturday at the ballpark. It was going to be complete with a nightlight giveaway, I believe, a home nightlight giveaway. I want to get it on record. Are you a Sriracha fan? Like, where did that come from?
Honestly, not at all. I can't do anything spicy.
I saw a video, a Twitter video, you trying to eat something spicy.
Yeah,
it was pretty recent.
Just lasted for 10 minutes. I just can't breathe. But yeah, I mean the Remo Sriracha. A lot of those videos I would do, it was a lot of just mispronouncing things at first. Kind of in slightly silly ways that people might mispronounce something. Then it just got way over the top where I was saying complete things that don't sound anything like the word. And I got to the point where I was saying like Ringo Cucaracha and Remo Sriracha. And for whatever reason, Remo Sriracha kind of stuck, and now it's become kind of a thing. There's like a lot of merch that I'm not getting any money from. If you Google it, it's become a whole thing. Yeah, but I remember I did this show at University of Nevada, Reno, Nevada. I always get yelled at. So I always say
Me too. I've had to go to Nevada, and I was insistent on keeping it Nevada until I had to do professional sporting events where it's Nevada, and I got yelled at for it.
Yeah, I had no idea. Whole life saying Nevada. But yeah, I did a show at that school, and there was a bunch of kids after, students that lined up, get a picture and stuff. It was really cool. But I remember this girl just coming up and being, look, I have a Remo Sriracha sticker on her like water bottle. And I was like, where'd you get that? And she was like, they sell it at like that main like tourist shop right under the sign. And I was like, what? I'm not getting any money from that. Just as a Remo Sriracha.
So obviously you never thought it would catch on. I mean, this is kind of an organic thing.
I mean, yeah, I think the Reno video was my third video I did. I ended up doing like 30 or so. And of all of them, it got the most views. I think Reno people are just like proud of their town. It got shared around so much within the city, and people just ended up really liking it. But yeah, it got like a few million views, and now I'm going to Aces games and throwing out first pitches and stuff, and doing shows at the school. And it's like my second home.
Hey, we would have been happy to have you on Saturday. Where I'm sure we'll figure out a way once this is all blown over to get you there.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by your. You might laugh, but your creative process. I know a lot of comedians, and you seem like the type that really can just shoot from the hip and improvise. Is there a creative process to what you do? If so, what does that look like? And if not, how do you spit these things out?
Yeah, well, for the videos, the tourist videos, that was a lot of what I would do before I would go out on the town. And the Reno one, I remember I think I was in town. I was opening for Dimitri Martin at the Silver Legacy.
Yeah.
That place?
Yeah, you and me, that's Legacy.
Yep. Yeah.
Get the jingle in there.
And so during the day, I went out and made the video, but I remember I would always Google. I would wake up in the morning and I would Google like things to do in whatever city it was. And I was Googling things to do in Reno. That's how I found the art park and stuff like that, and the river. And I would kind of map it out and write on a little Post-it or whatever, places to go in what order. So I would walk around the town, and sometimes I would see things like that big clown that sings to you on Christmas, and the big ball of juice and stuff like that. Just walking around the city. It's the cool thing about Reno is it's like compact stuff. You just walk around.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual stuff going on.
Yeah, it's very visual town. Yeah, then I'll just walk around, and I knew I had to hit the big points. Those videos all had like kind of catchphrases and things I would always do. I would say, dinosaur. I had to find something that looked like a dinosaur, and I had to find something that. I'd have to say a certain amount of catchphrases. So I'd have to go through and make sure I said all the main catchphrases. And that's going to ruin my life, I think, those catchphrases. No matter what I post online, people are always commenting what the catchphrase is, even if it's a completely different video. But it's cool. I mean, it's cool to make some sort of an impact in the dumbest way possible.
It's not going to ruin your life. It's cool to be known for something, even if it's something weird like that.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you get into the stadium when you made it? Just out of curiosity, you see, in the video, you say I snuck into the stadium, but did you ask to get in, or did you really sneak in?
I went into the gift shop through the main door of the gift shop, and then I went out. I think I bought something. Oh, I bought like a baseball, a Reno Aces baseball, and I walked out the other door thinking that was the exit, and you were supposed to go out the same door I came in, but then I came out and I was just around the fence, which was closed because it wasn't during baseball season. And I just walked in, and I was like, no one was looking, so I was like, I might as well film this a little bit. And it ended up turning into this whole thing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. When did you catch your first big break? Well, first of all, when did you know you wanted to do this for a living? I'm always fascinated by the answer to that question, no matter who you ask, because I think up until now, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, even though I'm doing something. This is kind of what I wanted to do for a little bit when I was in college. Never thought it would happen. But when did you know you wanted to do this?
Stand-up started in college. I remember I wanted to act, I think, since high school. I majored in theater. And in college, I remember watching, it didn't age well, but I remember watching Dane Cook's Vicious Circle. Now everybody thinks Dane Cook is super lame.
Yep.
But I think back when he was peak popularity, he was just like my hero.
Yeah. I saw him at Faneuil Hall, at a little comedy club at Faneuil Hall, and it was
Dick's, whatever it was called.
Yeah. I think that's it. And he came in you've been to that comedy club. It's tiny, and he came in like a ball of fire. And it was an energetic show in a cramped space. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's what it was. I remember they showed him before he went out on stage, and the crowd was chanting his name. I think it was Madison Square Garden or something. And he was just getting all pumped backstage. And I remember seeing that, and for the first time thinking stand-up was really cool. It's almost kind of like being an athlete, getting pumped up. And I never thought of stand-up in that way. And I was like, man, stand-up is really cool. I kind of want to try stand-up. And I signed up for a competition in Providence, which is where I'm from, kind of Providence area. And they had a club out there. So I signed up for this competition, and it was 3 rounds. And I made it all the way to the finals just because so many friends and family would come, and they would laugh at me, even though I was terrible. So I made it through the finals, and I thought I was really good at comedy, but I was just bringing people to my shows. But then, yeah, that kind of gave me the confidence to keep going. And then I moved out to LA 10 years ago and started doing open mics and, doing shows and stuff like that. And I met a couple of guys. We started a sketch group, and then that's how I kind of get into sketch stuff and making videos to kind of try to build my name a little bit. And that's all kind of snowballed from there. So now I would like to act. I think that's my number one thing I would like to do, but I do enjoy doing dumb little sketches whenever I can and doing some stand-up on the road.
Yep, you're an actor, and you also write. And you said you're writing a pilot right before we came on. You said you were working on a pilot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of just trying to pass the time in this quarantine. I'm writing a very stupid pilot. I've written a bunch of real dumb ones that I haven't gotten anywhere, but now seems like the time to really focus on something. Come out of here with at least getting something done.
Just keep throwing stuff at the wall, man. Something's
Exactly,
gonna stick.
What you gotta do.
So what was the break that got you off of? Is it Hal? Off of Hal's floor in LA?
Yeah, I was living with Hal for a solid year, and then but just saving up money. I would work these like office jobs. I was working as a temp. Like I was working at Ticketmaster for a while and Live Nation, and just making like $10 or $12 an hour. And I just saved up, and I was able to move into my own room with guys my age in an apartment. It was only like $50 a month more than living with Hal. I was like, God, what am I? I should have been doing this the whole time. But then from there, I moved into my own place like 5-6 years ago, and I've been on my own ever since, just supporting myself. Luckily, I've been able to do just acting and stand-up for the past couple of years. So, yeah, I'm living the dream, I guess.
One of my favorite new shows I've discovered in quarantine is Dave on FXX.
Yeah.
I've not gotten – you're in one of the episodes, right?
Yeah, episode, I think, 5.
I've not gotten. I'm on episode 3, but it's hilarious. Like I can't wait to actually tonight. I'm gonna binge and probably watch through your episode for sure. But
Cool.
Really cool show. I just wanted to give it a mention.
Yeah, man, it's going really well. One of my closest girlfriend is the girl that plays his girlfriend on the show, and she's fantastic. And tonight I think is her big episode where she has her big kind of character, whatever. And her boyfriend in real life, this guy Tony Yasenda, who directed American Vandal, he directed a bunch of episodes, including the one that I'm in. But yeah, I was a huge Lil Dicky fan well before I ever did the show, and met his friends and stuff like that. And to get to do that show was really cool, and act with him. It was like I look up to him a lot. Mm-hmm. But I did not know if he was going to be a good actor, because I know he's a great rapper and he's super funny, but I've never seen him like really act in a long form thing, and he's so good. And he just kind of stresses me out how good he is. Like, man, that's how talented you have to be to make it. Like, man, you got to know what you're doing. But he's amazing. And it was like, I think it's the first show I've ever been on that I can say I'm like a huge fan of.
Sure. Excuse me. So Lil Dicky is a rapper, and it's kind of a self-deprecating name that he gives himself. That's the his name, his rap name. But Dave is the show. The end of episode 1. He spits out this rap that is just, it's crazy. I mean, you've obviously seen him do it in person. What's it like to watch that creative process, if you want to talk about creative processes?
Yeah, he's wild. I mean, people don't really give him enough credit because they think he's just like a parody or like that the character that I play, when I'm only on the show for like 15 seconds, but I play this guy that knows him from he makes a meme to try to go viral and just get more views, which hit a little close to home for me because I'm mostly known for that like tourist guy.
Sure.
And I only did for like a little while. But I come up to him and I'm all excited and I'm like, "Oh man, I what are you doing here?" And he goes, "I'm a rapper." I was like, "You're a rapper? I thought you were a meme." And he was like, "No, I'm a real person." So I just kind of did hit kind of close to home. But he's such a talented rapper. He's as talented of a rapper as he is a comedian, and as he is, as I'm realizing now, as an actor. He's like a 10 out of 10 at so many things. That just blows my mind. So I don't know what his like creative process is, but I think he's one of our generation's geniuses. I think he might really be.
I would second that.
Yeah.
When did you first start to get noticed when you got out to LA, or was it just a matter of grinding until you met enough people?
Yeah, I mean, I came out here, I was hitting the open mics really hard, doing stand-up, and I was obsessed when I first moved to LA. I was doing like over 20 a week open mics just because I was just weirdly obsessed with it. I didn't want anyone to outwork me,
So hold on, 30-second time. Were you like Jon Favreau's character in Swingers? Have you seen the movie Swingers?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Maybe without like the depressing, like broke up with me and I'm doing these sad open mics, but like, was that a little bit like you, an East Coast transplant, just really obsessed with making it?
Yeah, and especially when I first moved, I didn't really have a lot of friends that, no one to really hang out with outside of just doing open mics. So I was just doing open mic constantly. I would work, a full-time job, and then after work, I would start hitting the open mics. And I remember I used to count them, and I had a little like planner, and I would count how many I did so I could just kind of push myself. And I remember I did like over 800.
Wow.
I think my first year was like 2011. And looking back now, that's awful. That's insane. You don't have to do that many. If anyone's looking to start doing stand-up, you don't have to do that many. That was unhealthy. Get out, make some friends, have a life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was hitting the open mics hard, and then I started the sketch group with a couple other comedians that I met out here. We started a sketch group called Dead Kevin, and we started putting out one sketch a week, and we built a little bit of a following, and it was, cool to – that was kind of my first foray into seeing how YouTube and online stuff can really help, elevate people in a way that no matter how hard you work at stand-up, it can only push you so far. You got to kind of get online and do other stuff. So that kind of snowballed and got me a little bit of name recognition and things kind of, we got managers and agents, and I got a couple of acting things, and yeah, things just kind of start to build. And I don't know if it was any particular one big break, but I think the thing that probably changed everything the most was starting that sketch group with those two guys.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm now as a fellow Massachusetts native. I think I could say masshole on the podcast. We're not really.
Yeah, that's not a bad word.
But that's who we are. That's how we're kind of known. But as a fellow masshole, I am going to follow your career very closely, man. And I'm actually really looking forward to meeting you now, especially.
Thanks, man. You too.
The thing that troubles me though, you're so alone. Have you thought about getting like a cat or something to get through quarantine? Like,
I would love a cat. There's no pets allowed in my apartment building. I volunteer at this pet shelter just to get some contact in my life. Well, God, I would definitely get a cat. I do want to get a dog, big cool dog.
Yeah, I have two. I was an apartment guy until my now wife finally forced me to move out in like 2014. I lived in the same place for like 9 years, and she was like, we're moving on, and like, if you want to marry me, like, you're getting out of here. But when we did, we were finally able to get two dogs, and they're big dogs, man, and they're great to have, especially now we got two cats too. So
yeah, that must help a lot, just having something else alive to look at. I've just been staring at my plants, seeing if I can catch them growing.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've enjoyed watching your quarantine videos. So just keep doing that, and we'll all benefit.
Yeah.
We'll all benefit from your solitude in some way.
Yeah, cranking out content, trying to stay sane somehow.
Ryan, thanks, man, and look forward to meeting you down the road.
All right, thanks for having me.
That's Rhino Flanagan. We are back for more Aces Loaded podcast after this.
Looking for more content? Check out RenoAces.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, read player, coaches, and organizational stories, shop our online store, and more. Now back to the Aces Loaded podcast.
Great pod today here on Aces Loaded. Thanks so much to Jeff and Sheila Wood and to Rhino Flanagan. A lot of fun to talk with everybody here with Vince Ruffino. And look, with Jeff and Sheila, how can you not be inspired? You ask yourself what you could do in certain moments to help, even in a time where you can't be hands-on in a literal sense with getting out there and helping. But here we are, and we have people like Jeff and Sheila who have figured out a way with Eric Edelstein's help to get this done and not only make masks, but raise money. I mean, that's a double like right there.
Yeah, I think they're just another great example, or a great example for us to show what this community is capable of when we're called upon during difficult times or when we need each other. And, it's a testament to, our fans too, just being willing to take up the mantle. Eric had the idea and was looking for somebody, and they stepped up and said, hey, we could do it. Jeff kind of alludes to it in the interview that he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just cutting up jerseys for his wife who's selling them and making sure that everything works for him. But that's what he can do. And if that's what he could do to help, then great. And what can we do to be a part of that? Well, we could put the information out there. We can have the infrastructure to sell them, collect the money, and then donate it directly back to the healthcare system in a quick manner. So that's what we can do to help. And then we ask our fans to purchase them, and then 2 to 3 hours later, they're all out, and we've at least done a small part in this. We can't go outside. There's nothing we can do to cure it at the moment. So there's little victories that we have to take along the way. And I think, James and Sheila are just an incredible example of that.
Can't wait to have them in the booth, by the way, once we get going. Like, I'm absolutely inviting them up, and you'll be able to hear their story, and they can tell their story again in the middle of an Aces game. And God, that sounds nice, doesn't it? To like even entertain the thought of an Aces game.
Yeah, I mean, listening to them talk about how, it's not just the baseball about the going to the stadium. It's about, the interactions and the experience and the smiling faces. The same thing that they say, we say on the front office side. It's the fans that walk through the turnstiles that smile with us. It's the hugs I give to some season ticket holders before the first pitch because I just saw them for the 5th straight day. And we know each other, and we talk and ask their opinions on things, and they give me their honest feedback. And that's what we miss the most. Like, that's what makes the job worth it. And so, all the stuff to bring us together and give us a common goal right now, whatever that is, I'm here for it. And I think our organization's here for it, and the community's shown that they're there for it. So we just need to keep finding and pushing to find what the challenges are and using our incredible skills to help try to solve them.
I will second that. Rhino Flanagan was great. Hope you enjoyed hearing him. I think what a relatable guy,
Yeah.
He's starting to do these bigger things. And I think in delving into his story, especially for me, I drove cross country from Massachusetts just like him to start a career and to hopefully make it. For me, it really resonated. And a fun guy. And hopefully you enjoyed having him on the pod. And I know you're excited to have him to Reno as soon as we possibly can to have Remo Sriracha night. I'm looking forward to that one.
He's an awesome guy. I got to know him a little bit last year on opening day when he was here and driving around to some different media that he was doing for us. Got to know him, like I said, a little bit. And he's a phenomenal guy, a very genuine person, and hilarious. So we're hoping that his star continues to rise, and we'd love to be as much of a part of it as we can. Or we're already a little bit part of his story with the video on YouTube. But whatever we can do to help him, he's already doing great things. So awesome to have him on. We can't thank him enough for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have him back at some point.
Oh yeah, that's
there's more to unpeel there, I think.
Oh yeah, that's a fact. We have 2 more items before we go. You can still get your Aces gear, renoaces.com, your BLC gear. Speaking of being from Massachusetts, that's tough for a kid from Massachusetts. Your BLC gear. You can still get your BLC gear, renoaces.com, and anything else you want. We're still shipping that out.
And shipping on orders $50 or over has been extended through the next month. So for the end of April through the start of May, if you purchase $50 or more, you automatically qualify for free shipping, and we're going to be rolling out some other deals that will piggyback off of that deal. So keep your eyes on our newsletter, our social media. If you're looking to gear up, now's going to be the time to do it with some great prices.
And Vince, I will defer to you on this. If people want to help the Aces, help the community, just like Jeff and Sheila did, excuse me, can you direct them to a place where they can connect to the organization to be a helper in this?
Absolutely. So if you're looking to sell mass, or you have the capability, or donations, or whatever the case may be, if you're looking to get in touch with us, visit renoaces.com. If you click the club information tab, it sends you to a page that kind of lists out all of the options that we have. I suggest clicking on our Contact Us, which has our front office. It has our phone numbers, our email addresses. So if it's a marketing related thing, or if it's whoever you want to get in contact with, we're accessible to you. So that's where I would direct people. Reach out to us, send the email to a few people so we can get some eyes on it, and then we'll try to help. Because like I said, we can't come up with everything. We can't find every problem, or we don't know every problem that's happening right now until it's brought to our attention, and then we could try to do something about it to help.
All right. Great show, buddy.
Thanks, man. It's been great so far. 3 episodes in. I can't wait to keep going.
Let's do that. For Vince Ruffino, I am Zack Bayrouty. We will see you next week on Aces Loaded. So long, everybody.
Let's go Aces.